my name is Nee Hanks. I'm going over with you today troubleshooting of NAVA and NIV-NAVA modes. The best position for NAVA catheter is use neutral access on main screen of Turbo. And when you hit that button, you can see this window drop down EDI catheter. When you press this button, this screen will come up. You connect the NAVA catheter to cable, and you can see straight line going through this screen. When you move your NAVA catheter, you can see static waveform show up. That means your catheter is working. When you see this blue right here, it means your catheter is too farther in your patient's stomach. You need to pull back out. When you insert the NAVA catheter in, you can see this P wave right here that we want is away from the heart. So that way you can see no P wave right here. And we want the blue light right in the middle of the waveform. Okay. And then this one right here, we saw the blue line in the middle waveform, but the P wave back here, it's really big. So it means the catheter, we put it in and it come back out. So we need to pull the catheter back out and reinsert it. On here, you can see the blue line on the bottom two waveforms. It means the catheter too farther out from the patient, so we need to advance that into the patient's stomach. On this one, it's missing P wave right here, the waveform is smaller. But you can still see little blue right here, so we need to advance further in. And this one, the blue line in the middle where we want to be, no P wave right here, and the waveform smaller, and that's what we want the catheter supposed to be at. Now we go back to this screen right here. Earlier we used the EDI catheter, so now we know our catheter in place. So we can see, now we're going to go back to NAVA preview it to estimate what NAVA level that we want to put on the patient. The mixed transaction from patient from pressure control or any other mode to NAVA, we make sure it's smooth transaction, so we pick the NAVA level. So right now we pick it 1, and your waveform is too little. So we increase the NAVA level to 1.5, and you can see it waveform capture, but this is still not capture where we want to be. So we increase it to 2, and you can see the waveform better. So we decide to give this patient a NAVA of 2. So we can go back to screen, main mode of pressure control. This window will drop down. We pick NAVA, and your NAVA catheter, your NAVA level will transfer over. All this setting right here that we set it up for patient for backup appropriately. Now we're going to go back to here. Right now it's 10:18. Patient on pressure control mode, 65% oxygen, and your patient EDI peak is 32. Respiratory rate is 61, peak pressure is 37. At 10:22, we put the patient on NAVA, and the NAVA level of 2 that we pick. The peak pressure go up, respiratory rate go up, NAVA EDI peak go up higher to 54. And you can see at 11 o'clock, the patient peak pressure drop, respiratory rate drop, EDI peak lower. We be able to wean the patient oxygen from 65 to 43. Now we're talking about EDI peak relationship with NAVA patient. Most of the time we keep our EDI peak less than 20. If the patient EDI peak consistent higher than 20, we need to increase this NAVA level to decrease the patient worker breathing, let the vent do more of the work. If the patient EDI peak consistent less than 20, like more in lower teen or single digits like this, we need to go down the NAVA level to let the patient do more of the work, because if we do more of the work, the patient diaphragm can be atrophied. You can see at 3:30, patient peak pressure drop down further, respiratory rate 44, EDI peak in normal range, and we on 42%, and we still on NAVA level of 2. Now we're talking about EDI min. If you're now gonna see your PEEP at 8 and your EDI min at 4.4. If your patient EDI min consistent like 6, 7, most of the time it means, or even 8, it means your patient needs increased PEEP, because that to tell us that patient needs more PEEP. Now we're talking about what the difference between NAVA and NIV-NAVA. This is invasive NAVA, so we're gonna put NAVA level we set where we had earlier patient PEEP oxygen, and then we set up the patient pressure support and the pressure control back up. When patient go apneic, most of the time they're gonna go either way, go to pressure support, to pressure control, or they're gonna go to pressure control. But most of the kids, they go into pressure support. So it means they just like a CPAP pressure support. And our kids will not like that pressure support at all. And they will be sad. They will compensate. Sometimes those kids was in here for 2 minutes because they cannot get back out to NAVA. Then they decompensate some more. So we need to be careful to set your trigger flow. We don't set it too low, but we don't set too high. If we set too low, the patient will stuck in here, but we set too high, patient easy to get into pressure support. So make sure check your patient appropriately setting on the vent. Now NIV NAVA, we skip that pressure support right here. So when the patient go to back up, they can jump to pressure control and back and forth to this. But the downside of this two, when do we decide to put patient on NIV NAVA and when we can decide to put patient on invasive NAVA. And so on this right here, that to explain why the difference between the two, that patient take a side breathing small breath and they take a side breath. If we don't set up our pressure limit appropriately, patient would recruit the lung. Most of the time, the patient on NAVA, they take a side breath to recruit the lung to take tidal volume was normally bigger than conventional mode. And on NIV NAVA, the default alarm set is 20, so we need to adjust that appropriately for the patient. And you can see right here, the patient take a recruit breath right here on the NAVA. The next one you can see it pressure regulate for limit for the patient right here because peak pressure is 15 and we only set peak pressure for the patient at 20. On the next one, it's NIV NAVA. It also pressure limit also show. You can see 32 and we set up at 40. So most of the time, it pressure limit on the NAVA at 32 will cut off the patient. So if patient with BPD and they have chronic lung and their peak pressure consistently high 32, we need to put the patient on invasive mode. On here, we're gonna increase your pressure limit alarm to 40 to accommodate for the patient side breath. And then we also turn off the NAVA alarm so when the patient go back up, it's not dinging, alarming all the time. They're gonna wake up the patient. And then we set up apnea time appropriately for the patient so they can go back and forth on their mode. On invasive, you can see we be able to adjust the NAVA, peak pressure higher, but this is way too high than normal we want to set. Now we put NAVA on patient. Now we want to know how the patient do in NAVA. So we're going to go back to the trend and you can adjust this from 1 hour to 24 hours, and you want to see the range of the patient EDI peak and min in order to change your NAVA level. And now we're going to go see how often the patient go to back up and how long the patient stay in the backup. So on here, you can see the patient stay in the backup so long. So in what situation we want to do, it means if the patient stay in the backup so long and they are comfortable, they vital sign stable, we need to wean the patient back up, setting down. If the patient in the backup and they are apneic, they go to, not apneic, but they go to desat and heart rate drop, we need to increase that backup setting appropriate for the patient. Now this is another case that I want to show you. Perfect catheter position, peak pressure at 56 and patient EDI peak at 66. Remind you this patient is still on pressure control. And right now it's 10:45. When we put the patient on NAVA catheter right here, you can see the peak pressure at 83, patient on PEEP of 17. But you can see this patient tried to want to take breath with the contraction of the diaphragm. You can see the NAVA signal right here, but it not correlate at all with the patient. Okay. On here, when we switch the patient to NAVA at 10:54, your peak pressure at 49, your EDI peak 32, your setting down here the same. On this patient, we did not pick a NAVA level. We did itemize pick one. We didn't estimate how much a patient needs. And so at 11:25, we increase the NAVA level to 3. We be able to wean the patient P from 17 to 12, and you can see the EDI peak lower. From 11:49, you can see EDI peak at 9.9. It's really low that we want to be, and we be able to wean down the PEEP, and we be able to wean down the oxygen, and you can see the peak pressure lower. And this is going to show you the video of the patient before on NAVA. This is still on pressure control. You can see patient dusty color model. You can see retraction. You can see the baby so stiff, and you can see the baby face look worried. On the next one, you can see the patient on NAVA. You can see work breathing better. You can see the color improve. You can see the baby start moving their hand a little bit. On this one right here, you can see this picture is not the video anymore. You can see the color improve, and you can see even that smile on the baby face. And so hopefully this is helpful refresh for your NAVA troubleshooting. Thank you for listening.